a few minutes because I think I need to share some of the update. So, okay, I think the recording is started. Perfect. Okay, so hello everyone. So there are some updates like in our portal. So I need to like show you how like what are the new updates we have. So I believe my screen is visible, right? So
Yes.
perfect. So we actually integrated our lab projects with GitHub and Hugging Face. So you guys might be familiar with that. Like obviously GitHub is good for organizing the code and everything. And Hugging Face is good for when you complete a paper, like you can update the data set or like the benchmark, so that other people can use those benchmark. And also you can upload the model, so that's the way actually people can find out your research. So now the portal is integrated with the GitHub and Hugging Face. And also, as you know, that our lab has like overlay premium version. So you know at least everybody can work together in the same projects. So that's how actually we integrated these three. So let me show you one thing. For example, this one. So in the project, and I believe that everybody has the access to the portal. So when you go to the portal, you will see the projects you are associated with. So there are two new buttons added here. One is the overleaf. So if you click that particular overleaf, the corresponding the file will be like tagged with that particular project that you are currently working on. So if you are working on any kind of other overleaf or word file, so we want to be synchronized with everything. So that's why the project will be connected with the overleaf, and this is the file actually we'll be working on. So initially, like two main.txt and the b file are generated, but if you want to upload any other template or anything, you can do that here. And when you click that particular link from your project profile, so you will be automatically given the privilege to be the editor of the overleaf. So we make sure that, so you can actually work on this particular overlap, so that we will be we will get the update and everything. And when the paper will be ready, we can also submit for the review. And also later on we can submit for the conference or journal, whatever you guys are planning. And similarly, every project will have a GitHub repo. But now the question is, what about like if we write the review paper? So the good thing is, if you write the review paper, obviously you can have a GitHub repo for that as well. So similarly, GitHub repo will be generated based on the projects. Is already generated, and right now these are private repo, because our paper is not published yet, so and we didn't submit the paper yet. So obviously we'll keep that in private, but later on we will make it public whenever necessary. So, and you can push, you can commit, you can work with this particular GitHub. So everything will be stored here, and we can see also the contribution, like how much contribute you do. And another thing I want to mention, that if you write the review paper, obviously there will be no experiment. But we will make sure that all the papers that we are reading for writing that particular project or a research paper, will upload all the papers. That's how actually this will create a database later on, that what kind of papers we have read like last year, for example. So that will be helpful for us to make our AI model. Because as I mentioned previously, that we are actually building an AI model that will be like kind of a 3 billion model. So we are actually trying to get like the best response possible. So that's why we need like valid and good resources. So we are generating the data and everything, then we'll tune that particular model. So for that, actually we need the lab data and everything, because the model that we are building, that will be particularly focused on research. So You can talk with that model to get better idea. Or obviously, chat gpt, claude cannot beat them, but actually we can have our own model that later on actually we can fine tune, and we can work on that for solving our problem. So these are the two new things been added in every portal, like in every projects, I mean. So the overlap and the GitHub. So GitHub is also connected with Hugging Face. So whenever you upload a model or benchmark, that will be automatically updated to the Hugging Face as well. So we have a Hugging Face channel for that. We have organization. Feel free to join that organization so everybody can join. So right now we have 92 member, but you can join, and you can see all the models will be here, all the data set will be here, all the papers will be here, so everything will be in the organization. So, and yeah, so if you do not know how to use GitHub or like Hugging Face, it's pretty easy. Just search in the Google or YouTube, you'll know, like, this is very easy. And now lab is portal is totally integrated with the Discord, with GitHub, with Hugging Face and everything. So this is one of the update I want to mention. And obviously you can also put discussion in the project page. I don't know whether you guys are using that or not, but you can also discuss here. Although actually most of the discussion we are doing in Discord, but you can also discuss in the project discussion. So this is like also important. So I think that's all about, like, and we will be trying to put, like, you can see not this particular project. So we try to finish all the projects like within 3 to 4 months. So we are kind of in the middle. So try to work on that seriously, so that actually we can complete like the project within the due time. So yeah, and we have the leaderboard. So based on your activity and everything, all the leaders are here. We will award like the top contributor every month. Although Moinul will be discarded because he's kind of he's writing a lot of papers, so we'll put some restriction on that. But so far, we have a leaderboard here, so you can see the points and everything. So this is kind of funny. So yeah, I believe that was like update. We want to make sure that everybody got to know, and I believe that you guys already got the invitation from the GitHub, so try to accept it within the next 7 days. Otherwise, like, we have to send another reminder. So try to accept the repository invitation so that you can work on that particular repository. So, and everything is now synchronized, so you don't need to worry about anything. So everything is fixed. So, and obviously there will be another update on GitHub. Like, after completing your paper, there will be a project page. This is how actually nowadays people show up their research. So there will be another project page where you can put the slide, the video. So we'll be actually putting some rules on that. Like, whenever you are writing a paper, there will be like 5 minutes video. So you will actually, any of the author, or you guys like working in a team, so all the team member can also do the video on that particular paper that you are writing. And this video will be also put in a project page. And some of the conference or some of the journal, they require like the video. So it's not mandatory though, but you can put the video as well, to see, like, a reviewer can actually just watch the video and understand your paper better. So this is how we are actually making everything synchronized. And it will be like lot of, like, make our life easy, because whenever we have to open the overleaf and those things, now everything is automated. And when the paper is ready, it will go to the review department, and they will review, they will provide the feedback, and you will update accordingly, and then we'll submit to a corresponding journal or conference. So yeah, thanks for listening to me. So this is the update I want to mention. So now today we'll start our session from Efaz about agentic AI. So I hope you guys will enjoy the session. So thank you. And Efaz, you can start. You're muted again.
So yeah, thank you, sir, for the introduction. It was very insightful and useful for us members. Yeah, so I'm just going to share my screen so that
Yeah.
it is visible. And this time, I promise you, I won't lag, and the video will be like large, and everyone can see clearly my screen. And I zoomed in a bit so that it's clear. So, so if you have any problems, just let me know via the mic because I can't really see the comments or the text. So yeah. So this session is mainly on how can we execute or go from our idea to the implementation, right? So for example, right, you have an idea, right? I want to make a site where researchers can benefit and use tools to like get their job done. I mean, this could be any idea. Just give an example. So first you have like this idea in your head. Like one day, you're like doing a research, and then you think, okay, no, I think I do a lot of stuff that are repetitive in nature. So how can I get to my task easier? How can I get to the actual implementation? How can I get the actual brainstorming of research XYZ instead of going through all the same things? Like instead of going through all the loops and hurdles of opening my window, opening my desktop, and typing these prompts every single day. Like if you're using any AI generative model in your like a research, in the brainstorming part or in any other part. So yeah, so this like session is based on, well, not based on, but it's like focusing on targeting that sector where you have an idea and you wanna get to the actual like coding part, get to the actual like usability part, actual task part, instead of thinking about your idea all day long. And so you have an idea, and you may have one idea, but it may happen that that idea, that said idea, can be ballooned into something bigger, right? You may not even think about it in the first stage of you having an idea. So this session is based on how to get to the stage. How can you, like as an entity, how can you get to a stage where your idea is fleshed out, your idea is covering all the to borrow some OOP terms, all the user stories. I mean, if you guys remember, you did a lot of like UL diagrams, right? A lot of like relationship diagrams, relation diagrams in your code. So this session is based on that. So to begin, I'm just going to show you what a normal like session or a normal workflow typically should look like, at least in this day and age when you're using a lot of like assisted technology. So I'm just going to write two things here. So the first one is a file called agents.md file. So what does it do? It's basically a set of instructions that is given to your like any agentic AI model or agentic AI entity that is used, that is put at the very top of any given like a task. So for example, if you're using any agentic model like OpenCode, right? So whenever you like write anything in your first like prompt, I have a couple of like histories. I'm just going to take one like this one. So you see the chat that I have here. So whenever I like write my chat, so in the very beginning, what does it do? Does it actually see my text? No, it doesn't see my text. What does it actually do? So it goes to the set agents.md file. So this is called OpenCode for those of you who may not know. So this OpenCode is like an AI agentic harness, like Codex, Cloud Code, that are used for getting your in job quicker done or whatever. So for OpenCode specifically, they store like the agents.md file in a place called here. I mean, I have it stored here. So normally you would find their code. I mean, if you're using any Unix like system like a Mac OS or Linux, you will find their code or their agents.md file in this repository. like in this code config.config. So it is a dot file, a dot folder. So the dot basically means in Unix system that it's not seen. So for example, if you like do this, you won't see the dot files, right? You won't see the dot files. These are hidden, right? So in order for you to see the dot files, you have to like use the that dash a command. So basically the dash a and the dash l are telling the the system to show all the hidden files in your like given repository, in your given like path. So you see the dot files here, dot files, and in the upper part you have the dot folders. So these are all the config folders of like your of all your applications. So in my case, so if you're using like OpenCode or Codex or Cloud Code, you'll most likely have a dot config folder right here, and you will see that these are all basically config folders. So config is short for configuration. So these are custom folders that is made for you in light of you changing some things that are outside the default like code. So these are custom folders that are outside the default orientation, that is inputting your own custom configuration so that it is specific for you for any given application. So I have a lot of applications. You see Ghosty, which is like a terminal, a very popular one at that. And these are all like system like applications. Cursor is there, a very popular harness like OpenCode. Yeah, so you if you see here, like I also have like a folder called OpenCode. Just going to grab it so that it only shows OpenCode. You see the folder is called OpenCode. You see the D here. The D is short for directory, right? I'm just going to go to that folder and play it out again so that it's on the top. And then you will see the agents.md file right here. So you see the L right here. The L in Unix term is short for linking. So my configurations are stored in the specific dot file folder because I want my config file to be Git oriented, so that it is saved in the cloud, so that even if in the off chance that I lose my computer or my access to my local laptop, I will have all my custom configurations stored in the GitHub cloud. And that is why I linked it. I linked this agents.md file, and then I put it here, because when you're using OpenCode, it won't see my dot files folder, right? It won't see this folder because it's not designed for this folder. What it is designed for is to see the .config folder that is default in every application that you use for customizing your application. So I linked my .agents folder to this folder. So now that we've gone and explained that what it does, I'm gonna show you what my agents.md file looks like. And again, these are all part of the workflow that I said is how can you get to your idea faster. And why is this important? Why is the agents.md file important? Because if you don't have a certain set of instructions for your harness, it'll go in the default mode. And normally, I mean, not like always, but usually the case is that the default modes are not exactly aligned with what you want, right? So that is why you give the agents.md folder right here, this folder, and this folder is inputted at the very beginning before your prompt, right? So you give the prompt, but the harness, they don't send the prompt to any given provider. So they keep the prompt, and then before sending the prompt, they send you agents.md file. So these are instructions that the agent must follow. And if you have a good agents.md file, it is going to make your life easier, a lot easier, because that way you will have a certain set of guardrails and constraints that are beneficial for you in your everyday task or day-to-day life. So sorry, my bad. So just I'm going to show you what I did for my agents.md folder file, so that you guys can get a sense of the instructions that is very important. And by the way, like this version is like after many iterations. So I've been using this agents.md folder, like my specific one, for almost a year. And for all this times I've been changing and iterating so that each iteration is like better than the previous one, right? Again, these are specific to me, but if you are in the field of software engineering, researching, making code, making applications, so I think this will be like general enough so that you can use it just by copying it. So I don't have any specific the things that are like specific to me. So these are all general enough in the sense that the work is oriented towards like software engineering, researching, and all these constituencies. So I'm just going to open the file right here. And if you, I'm just going to close, make this here. So you see the total lines of this like a file, simple file is only 164 lines. So it's not a big file, it's not like, 1,000 lines of information. No, it's very short. So the goal is to make it short, right? You don't want to like a blog or bog down your context, your token context when it comes to giving instructions. You want to keep this as minimum as possible, but at the same time, you want to make it such that it is very like decisive. Yeah, it is very like short and to the point, but not over explaining. So you see like my instructions are very like at max they're 2 lines. In general, they're 1 line. So this is very important. You don't want to explain. You don't write a paragraph, so to speak, when you're giving instructions. Instructions are meant to be small, concise, and they have to like clarify, clearly define, what you should do, what you should not do. So just to go through it very quickly, I have the non-negotiable. So this is like the very step 0, right? These are like, you can negotiate with me. These are like right off the bat, these are like no-go. You are not allowed to go there at all, right? So these are there. And if you guys want to, see them, I may like link it in the description, or I can link to the GitHub repository that is containing my Instagram file, or you can pause if you use watching on YouTube later on. Yeah, so the non-negotiables are, these are like very important to me. Like for example, like no flattery, right? No filter. And this actually saves a lot of tokens, and saves a lot of like buffering that I think should not be needed, because your job here is to get to your job as quickly as possible, your idea to the implementation. So you don't want these sorts of like extra added languages that don't really add to the conversation, so to speak. They are limiting in that from that perspective. And all these are there. These are like very important from what I see. And you see like this one here. So this is like a code like repository that I have codes, and under it I have a lot of like different subfolders. So projects, reference, learning, research, software infrastructure, and trading, right? So if you can like in the beginning, if you have a certain like a set of folders that will have, or that will you will do your work in those folders, it is I think beneficial for you to keep them in the agents.yml folder, so that your agent can know immediately that, okay, so if I'm working on a project, right, I will like go to the projects folder, right? But the reference folder is for those like folders that basically have like the documentation that you read. For example, if you're learning like a C programming language or CUDA programming language, you will have like documentation, right? So if you want your agent to be caught up, right, in that documentation, you can like keep like a reference folder, and what it'll do is basically I'm just going to show you what I mean. Is basically have that knowledge, context. So whenever, for example, if you're like working on making application, a front-end application, and and there's a component called ShadCN, which are ShadCN, SHADCN, which is like a front-end component that'll basically make your life easier when it comes to adding predefined or off-the-shelf like components for the front end on your like any given website. So if you want your AI, to be caught up with the latest and greatest technology or syntax of ShadCN, you may, tell it, okay, so in my reference folder, which is this one, I have a lot of like folders, and with some of them, there is a folder called ShadCN. It isn't here, but yeah, I mean, and there's like some other reference folders out there. For example, Ratatouille is a very popular package application if you're making like a command line application via the Rust language. So yeah, these are just examples. So you may, for example, if you're working on a command line application, then you want to use Ratatouille as a package manager, or not a package manager, but as a like documentation folder, because this like a folder will have, let me just go through it. This folder will have like very specific set of instructions or syntax that are not found in the pre-trained or existing models, because they have a knowledge cutoff point till that time, right? And like the web versions are not really caught up, so they have to go digging via the web. So this is how you do it in your system. So you point it to this folder, and then it'll have all these instructions, right? It won't have all of them in the sense that it won't, fully read through all of them. But what it'll do is basically search for that specific like an implementation that you are or it is thinking of trying out, and then it'll go through only those parts of the code that are relevant to his needed information. So it won't go through all the codes or all the code base or all the documentation. It'll only go through those like files that it thinks is needed for it to be caught up or for it to be like up to date when it comes to the knowledge, right? So these are like the non-negotiables for my any given project. So yeah, again, these are like, included at the very beginning of any prompt I give, right? Or any chat I give. So the agent will like know from the get-go, okay, so he has a folder called reference folder, and he does all his like projects work. So so he does all his projects work in this folder, right? So any project I do, be it my like hobby project or be it for this lab or be for any other thing, I like keep all these in my projects folder, right? So what it does is it'll keep you like categorized. So it'll keep your things in order, because you don't want to get things out of order. So you have to keep things properly organized so that you can like know, okay, so I have all my projects, I want to keep them in this folder, so that it's very easy for you to get to that and search through all your like existing projects, past projects, and any future project that you may think of doing, right? So these are like so yeah, some of them that I am currently working on. Some of them are like past, some of them are like current, and then some of them are like future like ideas that I will be working on in the future. Yeah, so this like agents.md file will point to this projects folder, and then it'll have all the knowledge about that. And by the way, these are like very like few tokens, so it won't cost like 100k, 200k. No, it's a very like 10, 20 tokens max, just to have this like single line, right? And then it'll save you a lot, because then it won't have any confusion. So if it doesn't have any confusion, that means it's not wasting tokens, it's not burning tokens to get to the job. So it's not thinking that much. So it knows immediately, okay, so I have this folder, and then in this folder the client or the user will have all its codes for the project, right? Okay. And then we have the tooling. The tooling are basically the tools it'll use that are not found in the default open code. So I have a couple of them that I use for my like projects. A file called, these are like MCP servers. So an MCP server is basically like an exposed endpoint that the agent connects to, and then it'll have a new set of like tools that it can use in the context to do XYZ activity. And these are like some of them, and all three of them are basically for searching. So I have the file called the beginning because it is a very powerful searching searching tool. And then we have Tinyfish and then the others. And the package managers are there, and the rest are very easy to add. And then we have, before writing code, this is how I usually like to approach a problem. So I thought, okay, so why can't I write it so that the agent can also be in line with my philosophy, right? In line with how I usually approach a problem and how I usually approach an idea. So it'll go through that. And then again, the code style is very similar to before writing the code part. And so before the writing the code is for like thinking, right? And then after that, after it's think through the approach, it'll get to actual styling of the code, right? And then we have the others. And again, all these are like very short in tokens, so they won't cost you a lot in that department. And by the way, mixed here are a very very strong and very important informations given by Andrew Karpathy, who was the founder of like OpenAI. Now he's in Anthropic, their rival company. So what he did, he is if you guys follow his Twitter account or X account as it's called now, so he like wrote a set of instructions that, like according to him, like hugely benefited the output result or the quality of any given model. So this is what he wrote in his Twitter account. So some person or some entity, I don't know, maybe it's a person, I don't really know. So they took his code, or rather his like text, like agents.md file text, and then they put it in a repository, right? So as you can see, like if you guys want to go through them, I'll like link through it in the description box or in any relevant channels. So yeah, just go through them, and I read through all of them, and yeah, actually like it makes a lot of difference when it comes to the quality of the code, the quality of even the thinking, even the coding, writing, the pre-learning, the pre like idea staging stage, and then the post idea staging stage, the implementation stage, right? You see like these things, think before code, you'll see there's a lot of parallel. with my, my code, right? My like agent's file. Why? Because I mean, I took it from him, and then I added my own words just to make it, fit from like exactly how I want it. And then I did a lot of iterations. So I think like this thing, like this one, sorry, why come here? Yeah, so this like file is like amalgamation, like an addition of a bunch of skills, not skills, but agents running MD file contents that I found over the months, 3 months at least, the last 4 months. So yeah, this entry Karpat is just one of like X person that I've like taken from their own file and put it in my file, so that this is really like complete, right? To put in the sentence. Yeah. So yeah. So he said all these things, and then if you wanna, copy it, there's an instruction that he said um, somewhere here. I guess yeah, here, your skills. Yeah, it's just a very short, file, only 67 lines, 47, without the font matter, and it costs nothing, like negligible tokens. And if you just write this thing, write these short instructions, right? I mean, it's very shorter than mine, because mine is actually like, a lot of other people stuff. And other people, by the way, are working in like Google, OpenAI. Yeah. So these people are like industry standards, industry leaders. So they've made the model. So they know, what they're talking about. So I only took my information from verified sources, from like actual people who are working in the frontier labs. And then as per what they said, I've updated my instruction files. So this is just a very important beginning stage before you actually write anything, right? So okay, so assuming you've gone through everything, you've did the agents file, you've made it, and then you've linked it with your OpenCode or Codex or Cloud Code. Now what do you do, right? So now comes the second part of your idea implementation, eventual implementation. So now you have an idea, right? So you've made the harness, you have the harness, you have the tools, right? So what do you actually do in this regard? I'm just going to go to the projects file and make a folder called session 3 demo, and then go to the folder with the change directory to session 3 demo. Yeah, so this is empty folder, and I want to initialize the harness OpenCode. Okay, so now we are here. So let's say you want your, okay, as I said, let's say you want to, do I have the text? I don't have the text. I'm just going to write it again. Okay, no worries. Okay, I want to build a system where researchers can benefit when it comes to the entire pipeline on getting from their idea to their execution. So guide me in this journey, and then ideate. Okay, so now you have the idea, right? So before you actually hit enter, make sure that in your like system, it is in plan mode, because it is important that your like agent, they do not like actually go into the like writing the code, because if they have any whiff of information that okay, the idea is just enough, then they're going to writing, it may actually hamper the actual like quality, right? But for me, since I already have the agents.md file, as you may recall, is not incumbent upon me to change it like to plan, because even if it's in a build mode, it'll like really listen to me, because it went through the agents.md file, and in it I wrote that you have to listen before any implementation. You have to actually hear the word like go or implement this fully before actually can implement, right? So it won't cross that boundary writing the actual code. It'll like make some documentation file, which we'll get to in a moment, but it won't write the actual like contents for the code unless I tell it to like explicitly, right? So it won't go do it implicitly like some models may do. So I'll keep it built because I want it to write code. What code? Not code, but write documentation. Because as I said, you have to fully flesh it out. You have to fully flesh out your idea, so that in the future, the harness, the agent can follow through step A, B, C, D, and so on, and it'll have like a guideline. It'll have like a specification that it can follow without getting lost, without doing things randomly, without any sort of sense of direction, right? So it'll have that like a guideline, that ladder it can follow, and then it'll fully complete all the steps, all the implementations with it. So now is where the skills.md file comes in. So what are the skills.md file? As you may recall from the first session a few weeks back, these are just a bunch of text files that in it they store information that are very specific and that are very like detailed oriented when it comes to doing XYZ. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is if you follow the there's a folder called Matt Pocock. Yeah. So it's a skills folder, not folder, but yeah, it is folder. Yeah, GitHub repository, and he basically is a very popular individual, and if you can see the stars, it's like 190K stars overall. So it is very popular, and it is used by actual people, actual engineers. And I'm going to show you another folder that I actually like a lot too, side by side Matt Pocock, but I actually use this one. And then sometimes for like experimentation, I will shift to the other guy, which I'll show you in just a bit. For that, we're going to show you what the skills of like this individual right here does and how it can help you, So these are sort of set of skills that I use a lot when I'm doing any project. So if you see closely, these are like very short. I mean, these aren't like 10, 20. No, these are like very what 8 or 9 skills, and there are others as well. But again, these are not that much, but obviously these are more important, and these are like implicitly called out by the model, so you don't have to write it out. But these are like better for you when you're ideating, right? So when I usually have an idea, I go use these 4 like skills. So the first is the wayfinder. I use the wayfinder a lot, and then I couple it with the Google Docs, because they go hand in hand when it comes to actually grilling you. So it's in the name. So it'll grill you in terms of in the sense of asking you questions, and then it'll use the wayfinder to create a pathway that, and then you can get on to making specifications, and then turning the specifications into tickets, right? So yeah, these are, I mean, the way he wrote the skills file, these are used in such a way that they they're very they have a good chemistry, so to speak. They have good synergy, and they are used interchangeably depending on the context at hand. So I'm going to use these 4 skills, and if you want, you can go through them and then see what exactly it contains. But yeah, for now, I'm just going to start with them. Right. So, and for model, I'm using a free model right now, because I want to show you that even if you don't have the foundry models, it doesn't. I mean, it matters a lot in terms of quality, but again, the differences are not that much if you're using appropriate harness, right? So your harness is actually very important. By harness, I mean the actual agent that has all the tool calling, that has all the token management, right? That in the background, the token caching, right? So the harness is very important, because one study has shown that if you use cursor with the correct harness, it'll increase your quality of any model from by 20%, and that is a lot. 20% is a lot, right? The same model, but just using a different harness, will make the quality of the output very good. That is why I'm saying the harness includes your agents file, the harness includes your skills file, the harness includes your actual application like OpenCode, Codex, Cloud Code, and these are very important to utilize and make it so that the quality is very good. So I'm just going to use a free model, and there's a couple of free ones. I'm going to stick with this one because I think this is very good. And then we have DXV4, but I mean, for this demo, it doesn't really matter. I just want to show you the actual workflow, not necessarily the actual output, right? I mean, the output, it can take a long time to get it done, but you'll see the you'll see like the way, the guide. And then using this guide, you can use it, you can copy it, and then you can, in your free time, you can experiment, and then you can add things, remove things. It's up to you how you want to use this guide in any way. And then you can experiment, and then you can add more, you can make it more better, not more better, but you can make it better. And then you can share it with the other colleagues in this lab, right? So you can do that. So I'm going to stick with like Nemothon 3, made by NVIDIA for all companies. So it's a very big model, and it has like, I think, 1 million token context windows. So it can like store a lot of information in its like a token management system or whatever. So I'm just going to paste all. Oh, I copied the name. I'm just going to go here again. It's going to edit it so that it doesn't have all these other stuff. Yeah, so these are the 4 skills that I will be using in the very beginning when I actually, want to ideate and I want to explore my ideas, and then we can get onto implementation. So I don't even need the implementation now, because the implementation will implement the spec and the tickets, right? And the tickets are stored in like, it can be stored either, and depending on what you want, it can be stored either in the GitHub like repository if you make one, or it can be stored in your local files, right? For me, I mean, depending on what I want, I mean, no, sometimes I keep it hidden because I don't want other people to know my tickets, or sometimes I keep it open in the public so that I want other people to know, okay, so this guy has a very structured plan, right, when it comes to getting to his idea, to his implementation from his idea. So yeah, for now I'll be keeping this 3. And yeah, I mean, you don't have to, go through or write all these, right? These are very specific to what you want in that context, right? So right now I can just copy the whole thing and put it, but I won't do that because it's not necessary for the harness to know all the skills right now, right? Because for example, this one right here, they improve the code base, right? It's more used for in the case that you want to improve the, I mean, it's very evident, right? You want to improve the code base, you want to make it lean, dystopify so to speak, or the code base, or you want to make it more in line with modern software technology standards, then you can use them. But normally in the very beginning you won't. So yeah, so make sure you keep that in mind. You don't overload the prompt to have information that is not needed in that stage, right? So you want to wait till the stage happens, and then you can either invoke it fully, like by name, or you can just tell it, okay, so in this folder I have this scale file, go through it, read it, and then we can get to the next stage, right? I'm just going to save it so that it's saved in the prompt, and then I'm going to hit enter. Use the skill. The other one I forgot to add is the grill with docs. Is very important because it is very important to ask you questions. So it'll ask you questions which you may not even think about in the very beginning, right? And that'll help you to narrow down your, like, either narrow down your idea or make it bigger, depending on what you want, right? Docs. And then I will hit enter. So yeah, it'll just go through it, and then it'll read first. It'll read through the skills after after the agents.md file, and then so in the like a pipeline. So first it'll read the agents.md file, and then it'll read the prompt, and then it'll read the skills.md file. So it'll follow like this order always. So it won't like deteriorate, or not deteriorate, but derail from the standard of knowing. You see, it's already done. Yeah, so I made a mistake. So even if you make a mistake, right, it'll have the, obviously it knows the semantic similarity of your words, so you don't have to make it correct. You just have to give the idea. Okay, so I want to grill something, I want to use a grill skill. So even if you just write grill, right, you don't even have to invoke the whole thing, just write the grill, and it'll like know, because in the system it has like these, like I'll show you. If you just take one example, right? Yeah, so you see this one, like this is called the font matter, and it'll have like it'll basically, so the agent won't even read, the whole thing, right? For when it's searching. So for example, if you just write, I want to use the ask skill, not even the ask method, but the ask skill, what it'll do, it'll only read the first 3 lines of any skill, right? So it'll first search through the skill directory, and then it'll read the first 3 lines, and then okay, so it'll say, okay, so is ask related to ask which skill or flow, blah blah, or is it not? If it is, which more likely it is, then it'll use and then go on ahead and read through the remaining files. So in that way, it is very like token efficient, right? Unlike MCP servers, model context protocol for short, which are very token hungry, right? So MCP servers are so in the very beginning, it'll basically have all the token context thrown at it. So it'll have to read, so that any given LLM will have to read through the entire thing. And I have a couple of them, which we today will not get into, because I think skills are very token efficient, which is very important when it comes to actual management and your idea, because if you have a lot of tokens that are wasted, the quality is very bad. So you have to make sure that they're in standards and they're within the range of optimum quality, right? Yeah. So you see it. What it asks me a question, right? What is the question? So it's already like clarifying to me what we actually want, right? What do I actually need when it comes to my idea? So let's read the question together. So what is the loose idea or project you want to build? Describe it in a few minutes, sentences, the problem, the audience, the rough shape of the solution, right? So you can see just how, like good the quality is just by one question, right? So in the beginning, you just wrote one simple idea. Now you want it to grill you so that your idea can be, either ballooned up or ballooned down, depending on your target, right? So it's like asking a very good question is in that, what do you actually want, right? Like, what is your idea in the sense that what is end goal of that idea, right? So you can elaborate further, or you can explore, because if you have an idea that you don't know, is it big, is it going to be big, or is it going to be too small, then you can co-ideate together with your agent, and then it'll help you to figuring it out basically from the ground up. So I wrote, okay, so it'll think about it, and then it'll ask me another set of questions that it thinks is very important to me given the context, and then it'll ask me, you see now, okay, now it asks me, who are the primary researchers you're building for? What is the day-to-day context? You see, I wouldn't have, in my unconscious or psyche, I wouldn't have thought about this question. I mean, at least not in the very beginning, right? I mean, I will have thought about it after a few hours of thinking, maybe, but if I want to get to it quicker, get to my idea and implementation quicker, then I may utilize this help for my own sake, for my saving my time, among other things. So yeah, the question is, who are the primary researchers that I'm building this given example for? What do they day to day do in their given scenario, in their given industry, right? And then it gave me a couple of prompts or answers, possible ones that it thinks is very important. Or if you think the answers are inadequate, you can go ahead and type out your answer, right? But for me, do I like them? So I'll go through them: academic, industry, R&D, independent students. So for me, if I'm taking the example of this lab, like the elite research lab, then I would say this lab that I'm in is containing peers from all walks of life, right? Be it academic, independent, students, etc., or whatever, right? So now I have my idea, which is, okay, so this project will be general. It's not specifically for only the students, or only the undergrad, or only the postgrad. No, it's for everyone in this current lab, which includes academic people who are doing PhD, masters, undergrad, or independent, or whatever, the professors or whatever. Now it's going to save it in its memory, and then it is going to ask me more questions so that it can, and I've seen that at one time I was counting the number of questions it asked me, and I think it asked me 100 questions. So overall, it asked me 100 questions before it actually got to the actual, implementation. So you see how thorough the grilling part, the wayfinding part of the skills are. So now it asks me, what is the biggest pain point in going from I have an idea to I'm executing on it from your lab members right now? Okay, you see, it identified. So what I'm actually solving or trying to solve when I'm actually like working on this project, right? What is my idea in terms of my like central point? So why I'm making at this application, this demo application? Because I need to have a problem first in order for me to think of a solution. So what is the problem, right? And it is giving me some like possible problems that it thinks is important that I need to know or that I can select, or if these are not the problems that I have, I can go ahead and I can type uh, my own answer if I want. So let's see what are the possible problems that it thinks is very imminent that I need to know of, or that I just need to select. Um I don't know, maybe this one, reproducibility. Maybe this is a problem that I think is can be benefited if we have like a structure that a standard that we can all use, like a set of instructions that will make our life easier. And then it'll go ahead and ask me more questions, right? So it won't stop asking me questions until it knows exactly, like to the T, what I want. So it can be very like repetitive, but like the creator, like Matt Pocock said, to just stick to it, just keep on answering, and eventually it'll be very precise and it'll know exactly what you want. It'll know it better more than you can or could know, right? Because it'll have the information and then it'll use the other skills like the wayfinder, the two ticket, the two spec, to make it so that they are written down, right? Yeah, so for this demo, I don't think it's going to be possible for me to go through all the questions, because it is going to be like 2-3 hours, right, or so. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip everything and tell it to start the specifications phase, to start the documentation phase, right? To start the phase where it has my idea. Now it is going to basically take my idea and then put it in a certain instruction set, in a certain files, so that even if it forgets, so even if I come again in the future with a new, completely new, like a fresh uh, context without any like past information, it can, I mean, the agent can and will have all the information it needs to get to the implementation phase, because it does, even if it doesn't have the information, it has access to the GitHub, to your GitHub or to your like local MD files, a documentation file, and then it can go read through all of them, and then it'll know exactly what you want, how you want, when do you want, for who do you want, and all these other etc. So now it asks me a question. I'm just gonna say the other, and then I'm going to say, okay, the questioning. Okay, I'm just gonna, okay, stop the questioning. If I can spell questioning correctly, what the questioning, and not implement, because implement, if you remember, it's a skill, right? So you don't want to write that word, and then get on with the other like to issue, and then to PRD skills, and of course the wayfinder. So use them in tandem. Oh my God, what did I do? I have no idea what happened. Okay, so ignore all this questioning. Use the wayfinder, to issue, and to PRD fully. So now it'll like skip all the questioning, because this is a demo, I want to show you and the entire workflow, not necessarily the content, right? The content could be XYZ. It's a very agnostic thing, right? And then you see it immediately went to the skills, and then it'll go through my stuff that it knows that is very important to have in the documentation. Yeah, end to end, right? I'm thinking like CLI tool is better, because I like CLI. If you guys may not necessarily know. So yeah, it'll go through the information, and then it'll do its job. I'm going to say I will have going to be like a Git native, right? So I want it to be Git native when executed environment. You see, still asking a question, because it's not really clear what it actually needs to know, right? So it'll go through everything, and then we can just going to give some random information, and then it'll get into the actual like a specification mapping of the contents of your project. So just waiting to see it actually start. And then I should say that you have access to my GitHub. So write all this in the GitHub world, issues, etc. Go. So I just want to show you that it can actually use your GitHub to make your like a specification, your documentation that will document your ideas to a certain set of instructions that can be followed fully, like to the T, like all your instructions, right? So yeah, make one, make new. You see, it's actually using the CLI, which is for command line interface, the GitHub command, and it's actually making the follow the repository, and then it'll put all these things, which I'm going to show just a bit after it is done. So let's give it a few minutes, and then it can and will finish the first set of instructions. So for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to tell it to just do the issue first. Just do the issues only, the first four, quickly, so that it doesn't keep on going and going and going, because it can depending on what you want, it can keep on going for hours upon end, just to write down your idea to the actual documentation, right? So it's very important that it writes down everything that is important to what you want, and then it'll go through it. So as you can see, the whole process so far is very like a structure, is very like a rigid, in a sense that if you follow these structures, the quality, like just this alone, the quality will be like such a vast improvement over, just using any XYZ harness and then, just writing, if I just want to build an application, help me. No, I mean, you can do that, but again, the quality will be like night and day. And you'll be surprised with how much you can get away with just by using this set of instructions, set of like tools, even if you're using a very like a not powerful model. So even if you're using like a the Nemotron 3, which is like of course not as powerful as Cloud Code, or sorry, Cloud Opus or Cloud Fable 5, right, or GPT 5.6. So if you combine the frontier models with like these instructions, you will see like just how improved your like output will be when it comes to anything. I mean, it doesn't have to be code. It could be research. It could be you're making like a documentary or something. You'd be like you're working on non-code related activities. Again, it doesn't really matter. And nowadays the models, they have like image, vision, audio capability, native capability, and then it can know about these. I mean, something. I think Asif Nawaz, yeah, he raised a hand. You can, yeah, if you want to say something, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering if it supports function calling and such stuff.
Yeah, it does. So if you like look in the back end, right? If you use like for example, if we there's a very linear, lightweight agent called PyCode. So they actually show you the functional, like the tool calling, right? So in the back end, what it does is it basically like it uses like bash calling. So it'll use like the Unix commands to go through the file, to read the file, right? So even if I go here, right? You see the root. So the root is like a tool call of the Unix bash, not Unix but Linux bash system, right? So these are like the writing, the reading, right? So the reading, the writing are all part of the harness, in that they'll use like a proprietary, but they'll use existing tool calls that are part of the OS. So if you're using Mac OS, it's more likely going to use either Unix-like or Linux, because those are like very similar in their like a tool calling. So are you referring to that, or am I like missing the question? So does that answer your question?
I was wondering, like, if we can include some third-party tools or some tools that we could write ourselves for our
Like,
day-to-day.
could you give an example?
Let's say, I have to control some IoT device, right, or trigger some sort of actions. So I can write a script which needs to be called from the agent in order for that action to be taken, right? So for that purpose, can we include that function calling or tool calling mechanism into this, open code thingy?
Yeah, so you can make a script that whenever you want to, for example, you want to turn the lights on, right? You can make a script that if you're using like a Linux, it's much easier. Even a MacBook, like if you're using either a Mac OS or Linux, you can, make these hacky, quote unquote hacky tool calling that'll effectively use your like computer as the whole tool itself, right? So for example, if you want to, make the lights turn on whenever you enter the room, and your light is connected to the Wi-Fi, and then Wi-Fi is connected to your laptop, right? And you're using Linux. So you can write a script that whenever I come into the room and you have the motion sensor, right? For example, just an example. So whenever the motion sensor picks up your like motion, like a kinetic motion, it'll send the information to your laptop, which I'm presuming that the motion sensor is also connected to the Wi-Fi, right? And the laptop, whenever it detects any motion, it'll like open the script, right? It'll tell OpenCode to, okay, OpenCode, do exactly what I say. Go here, go to this like setting, and then turn the lights on. So what it'll do, what OpenCode will do, the agent, is it'll follow the script. It'll take that like prompt, and then it'll go ahead in your system, and then it'll turn on the light programmatically, right? So it can be done. Or you can do that, if you come to the room and then you set up a script, and the script doesn't really need the AI itself. It just needs a certain, it just needs endpoints. So you come into the room, it detects motion, and then it'll automatically, when it detects like motion to be above 25% of energy, of like the over 100% threshold, then it can go ahead and automatically turn off the light. So either you can use AI in this regard, or you can't, or you don't have to. So yeah, maybe that answers the question.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a very good question. And you can, actually use your like harness to make like very, very, very custom stuff, right? Especially if you're using macOS or Linux, because these systems are like, I'm just going to show just how easy it is to go through the entire thing, right? Entire like a path folder of my operating system. You see, these are just all the files that I have in my system, right? So I can access, for example, the var file for a variable that stores like fleeting variables that are made by the code. Just one example. And these are mount, MNT, short for mount. And these stores like any external hard drive that you have connected to in your system, right? So these are all the files that I have in my system, right? So you see how easy it is for me to, just, okay, so I want to see the MNT, or I want to go to home, or I want to see Etsy, right? Etsy is a very like a popular folder in the Linux, Unix world, or macOS world, where it stores all your like important like application, right? And these are like a system managed, so the super user managed. So if I just want to go to Etsy, right, I can just go there. Right? So it's not stopping me or anything, right? Unlike Windows, it is very hard for you to know where you are. It is very hard for you to know exactly what file something is in, or exactly where the system folders are, and that does XYZ, right? It's very hard for you to do. I mean, you can do that, of course. I mean, if you're knowledgeable enough, but for the average user, like me, I'm an average user, right? I don't really know like all the ins and outs of Windows, because it's very very hard to get into. But unlike macOS and Linux, Windows is hard. But with this macOS and Linux, it's very easy for me to get to XYZ in the system, right? And that is why it's very easy for you to do XYZ automation, right? You can do automation, like agentic automation, that will like do stuff for you, that will make scripts for you that cannot be done with Windows, or at the very least it can be done with Windows, but after a lot of tinkering, and even then it may be like not fully 100% like what you want, right? But in this system, in this like in this side of the world, when it comes to like the OS, you can do any sort of tinkering, any sort of customization, any sort of activities for your need, right? So yeah, just to come back to the actual like demo, you see, I told it to just give me the 5 issues, because I want to get I want to show my demo as quickly as possible. So what it did rather, it opened a set of like issues, right? GitHub issues. Again, this could be either local in your like system, or if you want other people to know, you can have them publicly available in the GitHub issues. And I'm just going to go here just to see how you'll see how like resourceful or how like detailed, you know, the skills are. No, not skills, what the issues are, right? So yeah, sorry, the PyCode. I'm just going to close it off, and then I'm going to do this. There should be no parentheses. Yeah. You see, it went ahead and made like a private repository because I didn't clarify whether the repo should be public or private. So in my agents.md file, I think I have it written somewhere that if I want to make a new repo, I want it to be private because I don't want other people to know unless I give an explicit command. Okay, so now after I've done my, after I've done my work, then you can make it public. But without my explicit knowledge, my explicit say so, it'll keep it private, right? I think you can. I think it's there. I forgot because I wrote the agent.md file a few months back, and I didn't need to change it because it has been working perfectly for me, at least so far, right? So yeah, just going through some of them, right? You see it. You see the amount of detail it did or it wrote, right? Which wouldn't have been possible if you stuck with a simple prompt answer, and then code. No, that is like rudimentary compared to this level of details, right? And these are just 5, right? These are very detailed, and these are not even complete. I said it to only do 5, and even then the questions it asked me was like 3 or 4. So even with 4 questions, it knew exactly what I wanted, right? It can come to a stage where it's very detailed enough, so the and also like detailed and to the point. So it's not like waffling. It's not waffling or saying things that it shouldn't be said. All these are like grounded in what I want. All these are grounded information in exactly what I want, in line with the questions it asked me. In my example, in our example, it was like 4 or 5 questions, but in your case, it'll be like 50, 60, 100. Doesn't matter, right? It depends on your idea, how grand it is or how not grand it is, right? It depends on you as a person to guide the AI when it comes to the answering. So make sure your answers are very precise. Is they answer the question, right? And then you will be able to see like how great your output will be after it had and made all these files or issues. And then once you've done this, right, you're going to cut this off, delete this off, and then we're going to come here again. And then let's say that you're done for the day, and you want to continue in the tomorrow, right? You can either do compact. So what it'll do is it'll compact the entire like token, so that you see now the token is like 120K. So after I hit compact, it'll take the entire summary of all these things and then put it in front of me in a very, very like a short manner, so that it can save tokens. So what do I mean by that? So if I press enter, right? Now you see the compaction started. So now it'll reduce the token count. It's effectively as if you are starting anew, but within the same like flow. So if you're the kind of person that wants to stick with one chat, they don't want to move around. I mean, you can, given the fact that they're all here, right? You don't have to keep the same context, right? You can actually make a new one. But if you're the type of person that wants to keep all in one chat, you can go ahead and click on compact, and then it'll basically compact everything. I have no idea what it showed. Oh my God, what is this? Okay, so you see, okay, so yeah, so a person asked me like previously the tool calling. So you see this is a tool calling. So maybe it's a glitch from Nemotron. So the model may not be powerful enough or intelligent enough to exactly decipher what compact means. So that's a very good like thing for us to segue into the tool calling. You see, it first calls the tool. You see the bash. So it is a bash function, right? And then it like have a set of commands, the parameter, and then they end it off with the closing tags. So this is effectively what happens when you actually like input anything in your harness. That's it. These are nothing to be scared of. Very simple tool calling that is used every time the user, not the user but the agent, gets to your answer, and it can change. So now it is like GitHub repo. It could be like write, it could be read, it could be again these two, right? Write and read. So it doesn't have any more to use. Yeah, so rudimentary. I mean, even you can make your own harness. If you use PyCode, for example, PyCode is very like a lightweight, and you can go ahead and make your own, like very, very short, very like a simple AI harness that you can use. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this chat. I'll go back and then make a new one. Yeah, it made a couple of issues in the backend, and before I instructed it to make it in a GitHub. So after I've said it, okay, so now make it in the GitHub, it went ahead and made it in the GitHub. But before that, it made two files. Just to keep in mind, you can delete them if you want. If you want only to have like a GitHub facing information, right? So now I'm going to, I don't use a new model because just for the sake of it, just want to experiment, right? So these are the free ones, maybe DeepSeek before. So now implement, you remember the skill implement, I'm just going to say implement the issues in my GitHub. So it'll go ahead, it'll first read the implement skill, and then it'll go to my GitHub because it has access to my GitHub credentials, and then it'll go ahead and one by one go through each of them and then tick them off and then finish them off and then align them with that code, right? And also these like labels are very important for you to to filter. If you have like for example 100 issues, it's not possible for you to feasibly go through all of them. So you can filter them out and then you can see what you actually want to see. So it'll first read my issue because it doesn't have the context, because it's a new chat. It doesn't really matter, does it? No, because it'll read through the issues and then one by one it'll tick them off after it has been deemed necessary that said issue is fully finished, right? So it'll do that if the model is fast enough. Yeah, so it'll go through everything and then it'll finish them off. And to to go further, I mean, I think some of you asked me regarding where I get my skills from. So if I go to the skills folder, so normally in the Unix-like system, right? Your agents, or rather your skill files are stored here. You see, so it's under the agents, again, a dot file. You see the dot files are custom to your needs. They're not default, right? So again, these are custom for you and you put them there. And they're hidden if you don't give the -l command or ls command, right? So these are stored here. So I'm just going to go, I'm here. So the PWD stands for present working directory. Okay, so the more you know, right? So now we're just going to show them the skills. I have a lot of, I think I have too much. I should go on a deleting spree and then remove at least 50% because I don't use any of them. I just select it and then put it. Yeah, so try to make sure that you don't put as much as me. But again, it's up to you. Your system can do whatever you want with it, to be honest. Yeah, so these are just some of the skills that I have, right? That I have come across from my surfing the internet. So the question is, how do I get these from? Or where do I get this from? Where and how, right? So I would say there are two things that you should do. Not should, but it is better if you do. The first one is Twitter or X. You have no idea how much information that I got just from, like a quote unquote doom scrolling, not doom scrolling, but education scrolling, just to make me feel better. You can use that X and try to make sure you follow like top leaders, like from OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, the Google DeepMind labs. They all have their accounts, and they majorly they post their findings on X, right? So any information that is very useful, they know that will be beneficial for the mass audience, the mass people, they will try to put it openly on GitHub, which we'll get to in a moment, because I have one example that I'm going to show you. Like Matt Pocock skills are very important. That is made by a current Google employee, and he's working on the Gemini models, which again I got from Google. Sorry, I got from Twitter, right? And for browsing in general, you just want a place where you don't have time to go through all these people in Twitter or X. You can use this site. And yes, skills.sh, and it is made by Vercel, but the hosting company. So these two are the resources that I use personally, and then I have benefited from. So just going to give a demo on both of them. So it is like an open skill. Like, so they're not like limiting you or limiting any individual to put their own skill. No, they have a system where everything is open, and even their like docs are in GitHub, so you can go through the audit the code, right? And you see the skills. You see just see the amount of installs. 2.7 million people or million installs are there, and the check mark is showing like the verification. So they're from verified like companies. And the skill that is very important, like Grill with Docs, is like 500,000. So 500,000 installs for just asking me questions. Right? You see like how like extraordinary this is, right? And again, you can like go through any of them. And if you think you just want a skill that has the name, I don't know, Superbeast, right? Which is like a database application. You see, they also have the skills. So if you're working on a project, let's say you're working on shared CN or you're working on the front end, right? Just write front end, right? And then you can see the most popular skills based on or like in range of the most installs, the least. So you see the skill by Anthropic, like yes, the AI company, that one. They also have their own fund skills that you can use to have a similar style of like a engineering, design engineering, as what they want. And imagine, this one is also like very popular, as you can see, like 200,000, almost 3K, almost 300K rather. Yeah, this is very useful as well, right? And this other one that I use this one, Impeccable. These are also like very popular skills. And then, yeah, it'll basically de-slopify, if you want to use that word, your front end, so to speak. So this one. So if you want like a non-AI like looking agent front end view, you can use this like skill. Again, all are free, nothing is paid. You know, these people are very like easygoing, and they're very open. So they want to share their stuff with the world without any paywall. So yeah, and the other one is I think Taste. Yeah, Taste. Yeah, it's also very good, right? Yeah. So again, Taste is also in the here. So if I just rotate scale, it'll show up here. Somewhere here, maybe this one, or just go ahead and start from here. Yeah, they have. You see the skills. So NPX skills. So this like a thing here, right? So NPX skills is the package manager, not package manager, but the download in entity that the skills.sh folder site uses, not folder but site, right? So if you so make sure you install like from skills npx, because these are like verified and they won't have any like a prompt injection or any harmful or entities that will prompt inject your code, so to speak. So make sure you download only from making sure that these are present, right? And you can actually like go through the code to see actually what do they actually contain, right? Just a second. I'm just going to go to yeah, I closed that tab. So just to show you how short the skills are, just to give the very basic skill like drilling, like asking questions, like even though it's very important, you see the amount of code, just one line. So this one line will make your code a lot better, will make your research a lot better. Just this one line. You see how effective it is for skills to be present. And you don't have to type, okay, so now ask me questions. No, you don't have to do that. Just use, right? Now use a grilling skill. So these are like templates, right? So skills, templates, same thing. So these are templates that can be used again and again without you having to type it out or dictate it every time you want to do X, Y, Z. So again, these are all present in your system that you can use. But just simple one command line command, and then it'll go ahead and install. I already have them, so I won't be installing them, right? And there's another like a harness that I think everyone should know. Like this is called Open Design. Yeah. So if you're into like designing, like front end work, and you have existing like Cloud Code or Codex or OpenCode like subscription or any other model, like even the Chinese models are like very good. You can use this like again fully free harness, and it's basically harness in itself, and it uses Codex Cloud Code in the back end to make the front end prettier, to make it actually like useful and not AI slop, right? So you can go ahead and use it in your XYZ projects that are very good. So now we're going to look into the other like important like skills. And this guy right here, Addy Osmani, is working in Google. I think now he's working Google Cloud, I think, or Gemini. So he knows his stuff. He's like a very intelligent individual. Of course, he worked at Google or he's working at Google. So yeah, his skills are also like very, very good. I don't use them as my primary like skills. I use Matt Pocock's, but if you like his style, so if you like, again, these are down to taste. So if you think, okay, no, my like workflow is more in line with what this thing right here, all these skills do, try to follow it, try to stick to it, or you can adjust. And these are all, since these are all just MD files, you can go ahead and tweak, but try to not do too much because these are made in line with the others. So if you make one change, it may have a negative effect, like an inverse effect of what you actually want, right? So make sure you don't change too much. I mean, you can change the agents MD file, but not the skills. I wouldn't suggest you do so. Yeah. So if you think, just experiment. And the good thing is, there are for all people, for everyone, right? So just as an example, if I just do this, right? I don't think I have it installed, so I'm just going to install it with you. Let's see. And then it's going to go ahead and then install all the skills from this repository, right? You see, it found 24 skills, right? 24. And then if you want, you can have all of them, or if you want, you can have some of them. It's up to you. Again, you have the freedom to do exactly what you want. So, so in my whole workflow, my whole philosophy is you have the freedom to do what you want. So make sure that the things you do are like important in that they get you close to your goal without any extra hurdles, without any like extra like baggage, right? So make sure that is very important, and you keep in mind that. Okay, so now if I want everything, right, I just go ahead and press space. I just want everything. That's a lot. And then it's gonna go ahead and then tell me in what coding agent do I want, right? Because these they don't follow the dot agents for select skills. They follow their own like custom they follow their own custom like a dot XYZ for skills. But our skills, I mean the industry convention is stored in dot agents folder. So these are like a applications harness. They don't follow the convention. They don't follow like the industry standard. So make sure if you're using, for example, Cloud Code, it has its own like dot cloud folder. So make sure you do that. But I don't use Cloud Code, so I'm just going to press space because the default, if you don't select anything, the default is going to be saved here, right? I press enter to show that I want the default, which is going to be saved in the dot agents folder. And then it'll go ahead and tell me, okay, so now do I want it to be global, right? So you see the squiggly line, right? You see this thing here? This shows that I am in the root folder, or I am in the global, the global stage, the global path, right? But this one, session 3, yeah. But this one is not the root. This is like specifically for my session 3 demo. But this one, like the agents.md, right? Not agents.md, but the skills. Sorry, my bad. But this one, it is in my home. So it is in my user folder, my user root, so to speak. So if you want your skills to be only in, for example, in your project and not in your global username, then make sure you click on project. But if you want it to be global, that means you want it to use everywhere, right? Everywhere doesn't really matter which folder, but as long as they are within your user folder, then you may want to go ahead with the global one, right? And yeah, just select them and it'll install. I don't want to install them because I don't want to have, what do you say, expand my skills more because I think I have enough, and I'm just gonna delete some of them after this session because it's all cluttered. I don't like clutter. Just gonna use Control C to escape. So Control C is for escaping from any application in Unix-like systems, and then you go ahead and exit to exit the terminal. This one too as well, and yeah, so it's still going. I'm having an error. So again, the issue is with the model, not with my workflow, right? So make sure if that happens, then you use a new model. What do I have? I don't even know. Maybe this one. Maybe Nemo 3 again. Yeah, why not? Yeah, continue. You got cut off. This was what I usually do. And then it'll continue from where it left off, right? So yeah, after it does that, it'll go to the implementation phase, and then it'll slowly, one by one, finish off the stuff. Yeah, finish off the issues. Okay, so I think that is enough. So if you stick through it, then if you wait, and then it'll finish off, and then it'll show you the code or the research or whatever that you want from your idea. So I think that is it from my end. I believe I have showed you everything. So the agents file, the MD file, the prompt, the skill, the workflow, and the skills. Yeah, the skills are there as well. Yeah, so I believe that is it from my end. If you guys have any more questions, you are free to ask me now. Any questions, anyone?
Hey, can we integrate local LLMs with it, like Gemma 4 and other stuff?
Yes, you can. The good thing with OpenCode is it is open, right? I mean, the name is in the word, in the title. So you can include, like, you have to have like a local host. So if you're using VLLM or LM Studio, right? Or even Olama, you can have the ability to, I'm going to show you. I don't use local models because I don't have a very powerful laptop.
I see. Okay, so we would actually need Olama or LM Studio along with it.
Yes, because without it, so the LM Studio or the Olama are like a harness in and of itself, right? So they connect, so they host, quote unquote host it, not in the cloud, but in your system, right? So they still host it, but in your local system. Okay. And the provider, the harness, will use, so from their perspective, the harness is still using the cloud, right? But the cloud, in this case, is the Olama or VLN, right? So if I have Olama, if I can type, okay, so I have it, but I forgot to save it. So yeah, I don't use Olama that much, so you have to save it first, and then
I see.
I think I have a few models, if I'm not wrong, but I don't use it. Yeah, so these are the models that I have. You see, last week, 9 months ago, last modified, right?
Oh, okay.
So yeah, these are like ones that I can run in my system, but this one is for, like, embedding. So they convert the text to vector embeddings so that they are written by or being understood by my RAG. So if you use RAG, then you may be familiar with the embedding pipeline. Yeah, so these are some of the models that Olama can use. So, and if you want to actually run them, all you do is I think run. Yeah, so yeah, you do this, and then it'll run. I'm just going to use a small model because my GPU is not that strong. Right? Just use like a 3. I think Gemma 3 is very good. Yeah, Gemma 3. And then you can talk with it. So it'll, like, take it from the memory and host it. This is already there. So if I just write, I have you're doing, it's going to respond me with, it's very fast, right? 1 billion is not that powerful, but again, if you want like a very tiny amount of tasks that is very repetitive, for example, like renaming, renaming can be done with very easily. So you can use these like instruct models, and yeah, you can. There's
another thing. So whatever skills that we put in, that is actually going inside of the context window, right?
They are, but not in the beginning. So the difference between skills and MCP, the other counterpart, is that skills are only invoked or taken into context when the LLM needs it. So even if you write a prompt, If that prompt doesn't require XYZ skill, it won't, take the skill from the folder. It'll only take the skill if you invoke it, like if you say the name of the skill or you give a hint. Okay, so if I want to do like engineering or like a design, front-end engineering, then it'll go ahead and then take out only the front-end engineering skills, not the entire skills, right? Because that'll mean that you'll have like 1 million token immediately, right? You don't want that. You only want the information that is relevant to that stage, right? So if your stage is grilling, asking me questions, you use the grilling skill. If your intention is to use the front-end engineering by Anthropic or any other company, then you invoke it, and then the model or the AI harness will use that skill only. Unlike MCP, which if you have it turned on in the very beginning, it'll not have to, but it'll go through the entire like library, which I'm going to show you right now. So let's say you open OpenCode, OC short for OpenCode, by the way, and then you, I don't know why it's so slow. I think they should update it. It's very slow. Yeah, so you see MCP, right? I have a couple of them. See, now they're turned off, right? But you see some of them are enabled. So the Exa and the Firecrawl, which are like searching MCP, they're enabled. So that means no matter what I type in my prompt, so long as I type anything, just if I write hello even, it'll have these like MCP information in the context. Unlike skills, which are only invoked when the AI needs it, or if I tell it specifically, okay, go to or use skill XYZ or use skill grilling, right? So you see the difference? MCPs are, I would say, very like a token hungry, of course. I mean, it reads through the entire thing. So if your MCP server is like very big, then the AI will, even before getting to your prompt, it'll have like lost like 50%, right? So if I just write hello,
I see.
You see how heavy I'm going to show you. Like I just have these skills, right? Not skills, but MCP. Yeah, these two. You'll see the token increase. Like after it's done, like loading, you will see that the token here will be like what 40-50% already, which is not good because I mean, imagine like you're just starting your like session, and then immediately right off the bat you lost 50% of your tokens, right? That's not efficient, right?
Yes.
So in that way, I would say like OpenCode is like more like you have. I mean, you should use a bigger model in that it needs to have like a higher context window. But if you use PyCode, which is very lightweight, right? If you use PyCode agent, then you don't have that much like token consumption, right? Or maybe it's me because I have a lot of stuff that I turned on. Maybe it's me, but again, it's not working because I think I don't have a quota, unfortunately. But yeah, you get the idea, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you see, it used 50% already. I mean, I didn't read that much. I just wrote now implement this issue. It just read like one issue, and then immediately it's like 50%, 98,000, which is like equivalent to like I think a book. So imagine like a book worth of information is being, I mean, ran through, right, so to speak. So yeah, make sure you don't have this much MCP servers like I did, because these are like not that efficient. Try to keep it very minimal and try to use skills more. So skills are very, I would say, better in this regard, right? And you see the Olama that like is working. So first, all this information. So all this information are like first these are loading it into the GPU, right? It's making the GPU warm and then loading it, and then I can use it fully from my end, right? So the KB cache, so like storing the cache,
I
right?
see.
So you can actually learn your like a local LLM building project via the Olama, or you can use like a VLLM. These are also very good models. VLLM is there too as well.
Yes.
Yeah, VLLM, LM Studio, these are like very good. Yeah, so
Yeah. So
I hope that answers. Yeah, sure.
which frontier free models do you recommend for us to use with this setup? Like I have tried using OpenRouter's free models a few times with my N8N projects, and they spit out. I mean, they were pretty much reasonable to some extent, but they were not up to the point as we are used to with the Claude, even the free tier Claudes and stuff, right? So, which models do you recommend us to use with this?
So, I mean, it depends on the budget you can allocate. I mean, if you want like a no cost, like an economical option, then you have to use. I mean, I don't think there's. I mean, there's only two options for you to use. This one. So, yeah, they tell you they let you use the AI model And I'm just going to show you which models they allow you to use. If I have it, do I have it? I think I have it installed. Let me check. Let me just delete this because I don't want to bog my memory. Close it out. Delete, close. I don't need this. I don't need this. No. I'm going to give it here. Okay, so now I am going to show you what about, okay, so free buff. Yeah. So again, this is like a model, or not model, but a harness, like OpenCode, Cloud Code, Codex, and they allow you to use like free models. But to answer your question, if you want like a economical option or a free option, you won't have access to like the frontier models from like closed weights like a GPT or Claude, right? You have to use like Chinese models, right? And they are, I mean, they are not the best, of course. I mean, they are very like compared to GPT and the frontier ones, they're not that smart. But you don't always need a smart one, right?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
depending on your task, right? So if your task is to make a short script for XYZ, right? Or if your task is to help me with the summary or help me in my ideation, right? In my implementation phase, you don't actually need the best of the best. I mean, you can, but if you don't have the money, then you are well better off with having a strong like workflow, like I showed you just now as an example, and then try to use like these models. So FreeBuff is one example. So they allow you to use like DeepSeek V4 Flash, Mimo 2.5. I think Mimo is made by Xiaomi, right? Yeah, I think it's Mimo, Xiaomi, and they have like a very generous option for you to use. FreeBuff is one harness, right? The other one is, as I said, OpenCode. As you guys may probably know, I mean, I'm such a big fan of this. I'm like LARPing in a way for this open source harness. Yeah, so they also have a free option. I would say, like as of right now, the best option for you, if you don't want to spend X amount of money, is for you to use the free models. So if you just write OpenCode Zen free, right? So these are free. I mean, you can actually see like they have a lot of like free options, and these are very generous tiers, right? So they're not like, okay, so you give one prompt like Claude, and then you finish. No, I mean, you can actually talk with it, and then you can help. You can make it help you in your XYZ task. So you can do that. And the other one, there should be other one. Yeah, the GitHub one. Yep, we did this one. I mean, if you are still a student, like I was, I graduated, you can actually apply for the GitHub Copilot education. And then they allow you to have like, I think GPT-4. So if you use like VS Code, you can link it up with your account, GitHub account. Make sure you join the education. So make sure you have your like credentials, like your like ID card or whatever, or even your like a receipt or your schedule, and then you can upload it to GitHub, and then it's going to verify, and then you can start using Copilot models for free. Like I don't use it because I don't need it, but I actually have the free education, not the free, but the education plan, the GitHub Copilot. This one URL, by the way, GitHub URL. Yeah, so they give you like 200 AI credits per month if you have the Copilot student, right? So there's another option. So yeah, we have discussed. So there's to have a brief summary. We have free buff. We have OpenCode, and then we have GitHub Copilot. I believe these are like free for now. And yeah, you mentioned Open Router. So the good thing with like OpenCode is you can get an API key, right? And then just search the free options, right? These are all free, right? So
Yes.
So get an API key and then log in. So connect your Open Router with your OpenCode. So you can do that. So OpenCode, if you do this, so you see a lot of like providers, right? OpenCode Go, OpenAI, which I use. So I connect my OpenAI subscription model, the 200 USD one, with OpenCode, so that I can use GPT 5.6 Soul, the frontier models from my OpenCode harness. I also have Codex. You can also use Codex if you want. Yeah, but of course it has to be paid. So either the $20 one, the $8. I don't think the $8 they provide you with Codex. So either the $20 one or the $200 one per month, whichever one you are comfortable in paying, you can go that route, and you can connect your OpenAI with like OpenCode, because OpenCode is very like open, right? You can use like open router, right? So if I just wanna
Okay.
log in, and then it's gonna prompt me with the name of the provider, I just say open router, and then you have to give the API key, right? So as I said, you can use the open router free, like free options, and then use it in under open code setup, so that everything is under one place, right? Because you want to have like less friction as possible, right? So the less friction you have, the better it is for your peace of mind and your workflow, right? So you try to connect all these like existing like tools and stuff like API keys. So Kimike, open router, or GitHub. You can also like connect to GitHub, by the way. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Another question that I had is
Sure.
like, have you ever tried using the Hermes agent? And
I did, yeah. But the issue with Hermes is you need to have like a very powerful model. Like if you have like a Codex Plus plan, the max, the $200 one, or the OpenAI model, like the $200 one, then it's very beneficial, because the problem with Hermes is they're very token hungry, and I have set it up on my like phone. Like if I like tell it anything, it's gonna ask me like questions on my Telegram, right? But I don't usually use it, because I don't need it on my phone, right? I just want to be like not distracted as much. But if you think you can actually pay the amount, the subscription, then I would say Hermes is a good thing for you if you wanna code from your from your phone. You tell Hermes to open this site, open this folder, and then these are my idea. Use open code, and then it'll open code, and then it'll use open code to work. It can do that. So if you into that type of thing, assuming you've got the economical backing, then you can go for it. But if you use the $20 one, the 20 USD one, either the Codex plan or the Claude plan, then it won't last you a long time. I mean, Claude will like go away just after half an hour, it's gone, right? Codex you may use it for one day, but again, like they're very like token hungry, right? Because they read through your context, right? So they read through your soul. So they have a soul.md file, Hermes. So because the soul.md file is basically like how it has to operate and how it has to talk with you and its memory. So it reads through that, and then it reads through your like memory, everything in the system, and then it will evidently be basically very, very token.
so it will send the soul file along within the context window, and that will just eat up all the context. Yeah.
And then it will understand. Then you have to like compact. So the moment you compacts, they normally like lose information. So it may have like 98% accuracy, but maybe your information is based on the 2% that it forgot or that it didn't like compact. So again, I wouldn't suggest doing that. I mean, I would say better off if you're using like Windows or Mac. They're OpenAI. They have they updated their new
desktop app
application. Yeah. So if you're using Mac OS or Windows, even if you have the $8 one, even the $8 one, the $20 one, or the $200 one, you can use the desktop in your Windows or Mac, because it's not in the Linux yet, because it's only for like the GUI. So Linux, they're making it. So, yeah. So you can do that, and you can connect your. So make sure you log in with your account, and then you can use it from your phone. So I think that is the best option, because that way it's not that much token hungry, because OpenAI harness is very like token efficient, right? And you're using their own models, right? So you can use it, and like if you have the application, I'm going to just show you right now. Remote option.
I don't really have any like use for the phone. I mean, I would rather prefer. Yeah, I was just wondering if that soul attribute of Hermes agent would actually put any other benefits on upwards of rather using something like OpenCode or OpenClaw.
Yeah, I mean, for if you like if your intention is to just do the research or just do the work or just do programming, software engineering, then Hermes is not a good agent. OpenCode and Codex, Cloud Code are made for said activities, right? Are made for researching, are made for engineering. But if your like work is more like information retrieval, you want to know, or you want to operate your laptop from far away, then you can use Hermes. But Hermes is more like for general purpose, right? For like any general thing, not for like specifically for our field. Like the people, the colleagues of mine here, are focused. I mean, I'm assuming are focused on researching software engineering, right? These activities, these fields, right? So for them, memory is I think very limiting and a very like a costly cost activity, costly burden. Yeah.
I see. I see. Thank you.
Yeah. No worries. So any more questions, anyone? And by the way, this is my like setup. If you are guys interested, I'm using Arch Linux under the Marchi banner. And my setup is a memory, it's 4 terabyte, which is a bit too much. And I already used like 3.6, 96%. And my GPU, as I said, is not strong. It's a 1650 Ti from NVIDIA, and it has 4 GB of VRAM. So yeah, even with 4 GB VRAM, you can like, comfortably run like 1 billion, 2 billion. But if you have like 8 billion now, now you're talking. Like if you have like 8 billion parameters, 8 billion, like 8 GB of VRAM, then you can host like Qwen 3.8, 3.7, 10 billion, 12 billion, like quantized versions. So the I think in 4 and in 2 are very quantized. I forgot which ones are very like quantized. Yeah, so you can use that, and then those are like very powerful. So try to, I mean, if you're like building a local system, try to have like at least 8 GB of VRAM. So VRAM is short for like, I don't know, I forgot what the word V stands for, but yeah, VRAM is only used for GPU. Unless you're using like a unified system from Apple, or you're using like a lean AMD AI Plus Max or AI 395 Plus. So these are like unified memories from AMD. So they have like 192 GB of RAM, and this RAM is shared between the CPU, which is mine separately, and the GPU. But for unified system, like if you're using like a macOS, MacBook, so they have like unified memory of 16 GB RAM. Now you can use like, for example, 12 GB on VRAM and 4 GB for system RAM. But if you have like a dedicated graphics card, yeah, those are separate. So if you want to go that route, the unified memory route, then you will have a much more bigger pool of RAM, but it's gonna be slower, right? So if you have like a dedicated GPU, then it's gonna be the fastest. But the con is the con is that you have like a much lower storage, so you can't load much information or much model, a much bigger model in the system. So make sure if you are into that sort of like a local AI systems engineering, then try to outweigh, do I want more unified memory or do I want more dedicated RAM or VRAM? So what is more important to me? So, and then you can make your decision, right? Yeah. So any more questions apart from these? People are leaving, so they don't have any more. Yeah. So from the people who are still here, if you have any more questions, please let me know. If not, I think we can end it right here. Any questions, anyone? No. Okay, so yeah, thank you for your time, everyone. I really, really applaud and appreciate you coming and staying for so long. I think it's been almost like 2 hours, and I'm very thirsty now. I just want to go ahead and sleep and have my dinner. Yeah, so thank you again, and I hope it was very beneficial for you, productive for you. Yeah, Asif Nawaz. Yeah, thank you for the appreciate your kind words, and maybe I can do another one in the future. But I have to. Yeah, Atul Mahin. Yeah, I remember you. We did another session of ours. Yeah, yeah. So maybe I can do another session in the future when I can go into like how actually does the harness work, like what does it actually happens in the inside, right? Maybe you can get into that for people who are interested, right? So yeah, so with that out of the way, again, thank you all for coming, and then I hope to see you all very soon. Thank you, Bye.